Weather report. Lacking a college degree, my father felt intimidated by knowledge. He had encouraged higher education, saw it as a stepping stone to a better future, that is, a better job, a higher salary. What he didn't realize was that it would expand horizons. Politics, social reform, the arts, the sciences, all these confused and disturbed him. But I thought this wasn't much of a problem. All he had to do was read more and become enlightened, like me. Working for the Missouri Pacific Railroad all his life, Dad knew the transportation business, but little else. He'd never thought about art, philosophy, or the social order. But the real problem was that he didn't believe in himself. He felt he'd never understand all that college stuff. In his view, he was inferior. This painful conclusion made him lash out with sound and fury. As I saw it, he had plenty of brains. All he needed to do was read more. When he retired from the Missouri Pacific Railroad in 1982, he was in charge of the Southwest region. How could a successful, respected businessman not feel successful and respected? All through high school, my father yelled at me, "You need to get off your duff and do some work." But I did work. The Jesuits piled hours of homework on us every night. I studied hard because I knew good grades improved my chances for a scholarship at a school far from Houston and my father's yelling. He'd developed a genial social manner for entertaining railroad shippers, a substantial part of his job, and displayed his geniality when entertaining friends. Always, entertaining meant alcohol and cigarettes. The first words out of my father's mouth when a guest arrived were, "Hey, have a drink." By drink, he meant bourbon or scotch. I suppose my father was a borderline alcoholic. He regularly had 2 drinks, water, ice, and an ounce of bourbon, every evening he was home, and more than that when he was out entertaining customers. Alcohol made him happy, occasionally silly, but never angry or violent. I suspect that nicotine and alcohol relieved stress by submerging his inferiority complex and allowing him to float on the surface of genial chatter. Even when he got drunk, he never hit me. When I was small, he told me that a man should never hit a woman or children because he was too strong. He had read an article in a newspaper about a father who had beaten his son for some infraction and killed the boy. I never forgot his advice, one of the rare moments when he revealed a personal philosophy. As a college student, I lived far from home, was almost independent, and my father didn't yell at me, because he never saw me. Then the magic moment. My 21st birthday transformed me into a legal adult. From that instant, my father and I could relate man to man, sharing dreams and interests. Ha ha, what a fairy tale that was. In town on business, my father took me out to dinner to celebrate my coming of age. An English major in my 3rd year of college, I had been teaching poor kids in the inner city and was excited about the possibility that quality education for the poor could fundamentally change society. 1968. Father: "Why you want to mess with those niggers?" Son: "You sound like a bigot, don't you see? I'm helping to change the world." Father: "Don't call me a bigot. Niggers are all right with me as long as they work hard and don't look for handouts. Like that basketball player, Wilt Chamberlain. He's a hard-working nigger, and I bet he votes for Nixon." Son: "Nixon will prolong the Vietnam War. Humphrey's the man for president." Father: "The last thing we need is a nigger lover like Humphrey for president." That night at dinner, my father was supposed to give me my absentee ballot for the upcoming presidential election. He didn't. My mother had to mail it. "What did you say to your father?" she asked when I phoned her. "Nothing. only that I was voting for Humphrey and teaching black kids in the inner city. Next time you see him, talk about something less controversial. Like what? The weather? He doesn't like sports or movies. Ask him about the railroad. That's a good topic. I don't know anything about the railroad. Listen, you might learn something. 1969. Why not build a car that lasts 20 years? No more planned obsolescence. Can't be done. Sure it can. You're just too lazy to get off your duff and work. That's the problem. This conversation degenerated into an argument that rambled on for an hour. My father yelled at me, and I was baffled. 1970. What do you mean you're refusing to be drafted? I won't support the Vietnam War. If they send you to jail, you'll never get a good job with IBM. I don't want a job with IBM. Didn't you dodge the draft way back when? In 1938, we weren't at war. With my bad eyesight and high blood pressure, I got a medical deferment. But then the Japs bombed Pearl Harbor, and I got drafted again along with everyone else. 1972. You got fired from the hospital? Yeah, for union organizing. Unions? You want to featherbed the hospitals like those bums have featherbed the railroads? Hospital workers are exploited. Those lazy deadbeats want money for doing nothing. 1973. Welfare? You're working for the welfare department? I'm a social worker. Those lazy bums should work, not take handouts. I help the elderly and disabled. If they'd worked hard when they were young, they'd be getting a good pension and wouldn't need the government. Eventually, I gave up. Conversation with my father was impossible. From about 1980 until his death in 1994, we talked only about the weather. When he died, my mother gave me a painting I had done for my father's office back in the 1970s. It had been her idea, promoting father-son harmony. I guess that was her purpose. I had tried to cooperate, but pleasing my mother wasn't easy. She rejected surreal dream images, comic book figures, and sci-fi fantasy. We finally agreed on this brown landscape at sunset, about as non-controversial a picture as I could paint, and the most boring thing I've ever done.